All right, welcome back to Agent Tactics. It is another Thursday. My guest, Trey Serrano. He started out his real estate career as a part-time cop and a part-time realtor, and quickly changed his career to being a full-time realtor. In the process, he's been what, 11, 12 years in the business, around there. This guy has created a team, grown to a big team, back down to a small team. So he's seen the life cycle of what most realtors do. He's crushing it on all the socials. Obviously, you've seen him. Follow him on Instagram and YouTube if you have not. Um, but sometimes what happens is we get caught doing all of the little things. And when sometimes we need to take a step back and look at our business to figure out where the holes are. And so that's what we're going to talk about is the holes in our business. Trey Serrano, good to see you, buddy.
Thank you for having me. So,
Yeah.
ChatGPT says team lead of the Cabot Realty Group, brokered by a Real, top five company wide San Antonio and San Antonio, or top wide in Real San Antonio, 511 sales closed, 171 million since 2017, 101 size, and 33 million in the past 12 months. Known for protecting VA buyers, first responders, and luxury clients, 400,000 to 4 million, has five-time elite agent, three-time platinum 50, Google reviews, and I like long walks on the beach.
I, I apologize for not adding the long walks on the beach part.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All
So
right,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead, man. So look, you have the back the record to speak on the things that go wrong in our business, and I think sometimes we as agents, when we're looking on social media, when we're looking at other teams, we just like, man, they're crushing it. They're doing so good. And then you get inside the boat and you're like, oh, this boat has holes. This boat isn't as perfect as I thought it was. How do you start defining the problems in your business and how do you start fixing them? I think that's I want to start there, but then I just want to make this an open conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that has questions or anything, even just about their business, my business, please just
Yeah.
drop in the chat and we'll go from there. So, long story short, I did a lot of business as a solo agent, so much so I was like, man, I have to bring on more people to help me. And then once I left the police department, I was a full-time cop. But I started doing really well in real estate. So then I had seven agents at one time, full-time TC, some other staff, and I realized that I was giving away the business, and that was the messy middle. So I was giving away the business, and then they were kind of not experienced as I was. So they would either not convert as well or I'd lose the relationship. So I thought to myself, man, if I were to able to just keep more of these relationships, thank you. I was at a kind of fork in the road and I was like, well, I can cut the expenses and cut these, agents and let them, not pay the split, right? Because it's a win-win to where if they're not paying 50-50 and I'm not, giving away these relationships, then it'll work. So then it got better. So we went down to three agents from seven, and then I just increased the software, increased the systems, and I increased the profitability by like six times more profitable. So yeah, my profitability went from like 8% to like 26%, like within a year. And that's just my net from the other agents, not my own production.
Mm.
Um, and
So
so
it's
like
not always about spending more money. It's about just being efficient.
right, yeah. And but it's like let's boil this down to those that are listening or watching. Two things. The messy middle to me is a fork in the road. If you're at a business where you're like, man, I'm doing really well, but I have no time, right? I'm always showing, I'm always listing appointments, I'm always creating content, I'm trying to bring the business. So that's the messy middle is do I go and just cut expenses and just, you know, reap more of what you sow? Or the other fork in the road is do I now leverage expenses? Do I bring on more staff for me to leverage the expenses to be able to get more business? And it's like, well, if I'm spending 5 grand a month in staff, software, ads, and then I'm making 20 grand a month, then it makes sense. Well, then if I spend 20 grand a month, then I'll make 100 grand a month. And so I think that's really more of like a self audit, to where you can go either right or left. And for me, I went left, for probably the year that this past 12 months, where I cut expenses, I cut staff, or I cut the agents that I was splitting with, and I just did the salary model. So now I basically have all W-2 employees, and now I'm actually going right. So now I'm going to have more expenses, more leverage, more ads, and bring more business and more agents to the team, but the software and the systems are so well set up that those are going to hold the agents accountable, not just my feelings. The relationships that are new are going to be scaled, by the agents. And if they want to continue with the growth in the platforms, then it's all going to be systems and leverage that it's going to grow.
What are some of those systems that you're finding are going to help you here?
So I would say obviously AI. AI is the biggest one that, I mean, it's just so incredible. Like now I have Jason Pantana as my coach and Tom Ferry. So it's like I've been waiting 3 years for him to be my coach. And he really opened my eyes with, just the ads and the amount of AI that we can implement to bring top of funnel business to mid funnel to bottom funnel without having to spend a whole lot. And so at one point, I had a conversation with him, and he was like, "Well, why are you like hoarding your database? Like, why are you only bringing people in that raise their hand and say, 'Hey, Trey, I want a home evaluation. I want to see a home. Why don't you have 100,000 people in your database?'" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't really have an answer for that, And it's then it kind of hit me like, well, it's really the software. Like, I don't know how to nurture these 100,000 people if I get them. But now, sorry, to answer your question, it's right now it's Lofty, but I'm moving to Follow Up Boss because it can handle more agents at once. Um, and then obviously ChatGPT, Grok. Um, what else? I have 11 Labs for AI voice for content, and then I have HeyGen for my video avatar.
Okay. So how are those how are those all working in tandem to create what you're going for here?
So I have a digital marketing coordinator. She's full time and she's in the office. So she will get news articles. She'll push the content out to get people in my database nurtured. And then I have a full time VA who's my CRM manager and she's my transaction coordinator. So that coupled with pushing ads on videos that start converting. And plus, I mean, I haven't started the ad spend yet on like either Ylopo or Google, but Pantana told me that there's a way to do a Google pay per click on specific addresses. So your website will be able to get in front of Zillow, so you pay a fourth of what Zillow charges. And this is what Boomtown charges agents quadruple the price of what if you were to directly do it yourself with Google.
Interesting. Interesting.
So then as I'm like thinking of all these metrics, I'm like, well, if I did have 100,000 people, like I can't handle that business. Like, like I can't handle all the leads that come in and all the opportunities that could have. So I think the past even just 3 months, I've been, production's been normal, right? About 7 to 12 closings a month, and just feeding 2 agents essentially and 5 support staff. So it's more profitable, and I'm more leaning to the left lane, which is just lean and mean. But now with the systems in place, and Shauna's on the call, she's a systems guru too. um, Now I'm going like, hey, I already have these systems. I have the staff, I have the coordination. Like, why not bring on 4, 5, 6, 10 agents to handle the business? And, as AI starts to, I don't want to say take over, I want to say influence, but it's really going to be these systems that are going to take over. It's going to be hard for, solo agents to really be in front of media when you have like people, the consumer just being like, what's the best realtor in Stone Oak and San Antonio. Like they're not even saying San Antonio anymore. They're saying specific neighborhoods. And then AI is going to start looking at, things that we never thought they were going to look at. ChatGPT, now I know I'm going on tangent. Stop me anytime I get fired up. So ChatGPT doesn't look at Google. They don't get along. So they're going to look at Reddit. They're going to look at X. What was the other one? They look at subdomains of websites. They look at Yelp, which is like all crazy things that we don't necessarily like. We don't post content on there. It's always been Google, Google. But if somebody says that, then they're not going to see that. So um, I started uploading and talking to chat about like my accolades and like closings I've done. Reminded it where to find my reviews. And this way, if somebody says, who's the best luxury agent, who's the best agent for PCSing in my town, hopefully my name comes up. Because those of you, I'm sure you've heard of GEO, not SEO. Give me a hand raise if you've heard of GEO. Cool, cool. Most of us. Jason, your hair's sticking up, so I would assume you did. So yeah, I mean, GEO is going to be the new SEO 1,000%. Like it's already happening. It's not even like, oh, it's coming. Like no, it's happening right now.
For those that didn't raise their hand, what is GEO?
Sure. So SEO is search engine optimization. Like Google will look at websites, will look at reviews. But now GEO is generative engine optimization. So it's basically AI that will scrape 26 sources at once to pull your answer within seconds. So 26 websites, of people that have served or like different websites, Yelp reviews, Reddit is a big one because it's trying to find credible sources that are not just Google. It's pretty incredible, man. Like I, you know, I think that teams or really, really heavy marketers are going to stand out in this market. I mean, relationships are always going to win 1,000%. I'm not saying that's ever going to go away because at the end of the day, like, somebody wants to buy a house and, I really connect with Shauna in Dallas. I'm like, Shauna, like, I see you're doing a lot in Dallas. Like, I'm moving up there. I just need you to help me. Like, relationships are always going to work. But I think for markets that have a lot of movement or PCS moves or just like people moving in from different cities, like this is something that you need to do right now.
So, how do you define like I want to go back and dive into like how do you actually define the issues of your business, right? How are you actually going in and finding like Carlos has a team, right? Carlos has what, five or six agents. Carlos has a lot different messy middle than maybe Martha does, right? Martha has, she's a solo agent. Tammy's a broker, right? Shauna's got 1,000 listings and she wants them all to sell. Kelly Murphy on here, she's a title rep, right? So everybody's got a little bit different messy middle, right? How do you define the areas that need to be fixed?
So the way I define my messy middle is I audited my time. Auditing your time is the hardest effing thing that you can ever do in the world. It sucks. It is freaking fucking terrible. I hate it. So I audited my time for a week. I should have done it for 2 weeks, but I just like I wanted to jab my coffee down my throat and eye and whatever. But auditing 30 minutes every single day of your like from the time you wake up to the time you're asleep, not fall asleep, asleep. Insane. And what I found was a lot of it was delegation, a lot of it was reminding people, um, a lot of it was creating content, but there was not a lot of it of decision making, which, I'm the, leader of my group. So I need to make decisions fast and I need to, you know, have more time to make decisions because it's for everybody's benefit. I mean, there's people that we have on payroll and there's clients that we're serving and so I think that's the best metric is audit your time. If you can't do, you're supposed to do it 15 minutes, but I mean, come on, we live on planet Earth. Let's try 30. If you do 30 minutes, you're supposed to do it for 2 weeks. But if you're like, you know what, I'm just, even if you start a day, but once you do that, you'll realize how much time you're wasting on tasks that are not making you money. And so when I did that, I read a book. It was Buy Back Your Time. I'm sure most of you heard it. Some of you heard it. And the book says that you should hire if it's one fourth of your hourly wage. So if you make, let's say $500,000, I'm going to mess this up. If you make $400,000 a year, then your tasks, administrative tasks that you do. I mean, if it's, let's say, can fill two people at $50 an hour, that's one fourth of your hourly wage a year at 400,000. Then you need to hire two people to do those tasks because that's going to give you 80 hours a week more to do the tasks that you were meant to do, that are in front of people, high level conversations, decision making. And then sidebar, how you make these decisions. I got this from a Sharon podcast. Is if it's easily reversible, do it right away. Stop thinking about like what could go wrong. Just do it. If it's not so easily reversible, like it'll take a day or two to reverse, think about it for a few minutes. But if it's like, hey, I'm going to fire somebody, then, take a few days, a week or two to think about it because it's obviously not easily reversible. If it's like, hey, I'm going to switch from being an agent to a loan officer, or I'm going to, do something else crazy. I mean, think about it, but make your decisions based on how much time it takes to reverse it.
Mm.
And so I thought that was pretty powerful. And so, yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Carlos, I'm curious. What's the messy middle you're working on right now in your, as you know, going from as a solo agent to now, I think, what do you have, 4 agents on your team?
Yes, yes. So my struggle is keeping everyone accountable. It's just I feel like some of these agents, they're just not, they don't have the same goals. Like we don't share the same goals, the same, like I'm always working. I go to bed late. I'm always like trying to learn something new, taking classes, and I just don't see some of the agents having that drive to get. I mean, they have their own goals, they have their own things, but they're actually not doing the tasks that require to get there. And as a kind of mentor for them, is like I'm trying to guide them and trying to encourage them to do it, but at the end of the day it's up to them to do it. So I have one agent in my team. I'm thinking about letting him go because he hasn't really done much. But then I don't know. My wife told me, don't fire him, and I was like, that's, it's a business. It's not a, I have to treat this as a business. So to me, that's kind of like the messy middle. I'm always adding things like AI as well for listening presentations as well. And I just had a session with the team, like, this is how I do it. You guys learn the process. Let's start incorporating this. So I'm always trying to provide value, but sometimes they don't do the things that are needed, I guess.
Trey, before you respond to that, I want to say it. So yesterday I met with 3 different agents. Couple were looking at coming to Real. One was an agent at Real wanting some advice. And what I noticed in my conversations right away is that there are so many agents out there that don't put in the work or try to put in the work to be as successful as you would want them to be. And that becomes frustrating. And Shauna said it in the comment section right here. You can't want it more than them or more than they do. Trey, I'm curious, like you've been in this spot exactly. What are your thoughts on the messy middle for Carlos?
So that was when I had 7 agents and I was like, okay, guys, like let me mentor you. And I had this mindset of like, hey, I'm going to, you know, give you the skills that I have for you to succeed. But there's two big issues with that. One is you're taking your time to hold them accountable, which is not worth your time. Two, the metrics that they're trying to get are undefined. So if you don't have like, okay, you join my team, how many closings do you want to do? I want to do 10 closings a year. Okay. So then that's, about a contract a month, let's say 12. And if you have a contract a month, then we're going to put this in your CRM. Contract a month, and then per quarter, we're going to review how many conversations have you had, how fast are you dialing, how fast are you texting them back, how many leads did you nurture per day, per month, and then we're going to check on first quarter. So that right now, then here's the training, here's the Zoom call of buyer presentation, listing presentation, how to operate in the CRM. Like these are the things that you probably spent hours and hours and hours and hours just trying to be a good person. But I learned that if you just automate this training, the conversations when you spend time with the agent are so much more meaningful. Because when you give them the steps of, hey, watch these 5 videos that I recorded and then talk to me. Or like my admin, she like or the marketing coordinator, yeah, the digital marketing coordinator, we have a morning huddle, we have a lunch huddle, and at the end of the day huddle at 3 o'clock. So she writes down the questions she's going to ask me. And then if there's projects in order, she'll just substack these at the times that she's going to ask me. So then when I have that opportunity, they're more meaningful conversations because she tried to find the answer herself. And it's been great because I just like focus my time on her and then she can do that. But with your agents, I think setting those metrics are going to be important, and that's how you're going to hold them accountable. You're going to say like, listen, I can spend hours with you, but wouldn't it be more meaningful if you watched this training first? You did some practice, you role played with each other, then we had a conversation. And then they're like, yeah, I guess so. Like if I had some background of it, because most agents are going to want the hack, right? They're like, I'm paying a split, so I want you to teach me. Well, it's like, I will teach you, but it's going to be way better if you watch this trainings, if you operate in your CRM, if you document everything, then I can teach you even more.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you take the time to put together a classroom, um, hours and hours and hours, and then you give it to an agent and you're like, here you go, here's the classroom. This is going to be the basics for how to run our team. And then they don't watch any of it or do any of this stuff. And what I noticed, and so a lot of the comments when I put about the messy middle, a lot of the comments I saw were like homes aren't selling, buyers aren't buying, all of this stuff, and it made me think, and it made me think about like how I had done my business as well. Number one, are some of those listings that people are taking not worth the time, and should you have not taken it to begin with? Was there something in your head that said, you know what, this is going to be a painful listing, and said, you know what, this isn't the listing for me, or had take on or are you not? Are you so focused on getting those people under contract that you're not focused on getting more business? I keep telling agents 96% of our business is finding the next buyer or seller. Like that's it in itself. Yes, listings aren't selling, but did you take listings that you probably should have from the beginning had that hard conversation with the seller? We're not pricing at this crazy price. And now one of the agents I talked to yesterday, well, we priced at 900. I thought like that would be okay. And that's what the seller wanted. And I was just like, so now you've sat for 4 months, you've wasted money, time, and energy, and they're getting ready to fire you because you weren't honest from the beginning. And I think sometimes too, as owners of a team, right, you bring on agents. Maybe in this situation, Carlos, I'm curious, when you see these agents that maybe don't fit your values in your team, should you have asked more questions ahead of time? I feel like a lot of the problems that we could fix would have been fixed with asking more questions ahead of time. I'm just curious if that might have helped. But that's one of the things I sat after I talked to 3 different agents yesterday. I was like, wow, if people just sat and put their goals and actually worked on those goals, probably wouldn't be sitting with a lot of these people. I don't know. I'm in a weird place today. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you are weird. Okay, so the 3 things I want to go over about those of you working with agents or yourself, and you're like, well, how do I define leads? How do I define what's a lead? What's an opportunity? So again, this was my call with Jason. I did not think of this. So he said basically, a consumer or a client is going to be attracted to you in 3 different ways. These 3 different ways is basically the 3 buckets that you're going to attract a buyer or seller. Number 1 is somebody's going to be attracted to your process, like Shauna Martinez. Like if I wanted to sell my house in Dallas, I would definitely call Shauna Martinez, like beast. It's like she's so smooth. She's like, I'm going to tell you these updates and like da 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 da. My eyes blink and it's sold. Like that would be an attraction process. Or if I'm like, hey, I have these 5 builders that are giving 3.9 in 5 different neighborhoods and they're paying all closing costs. Like I'm attracted to your process. right? That's bucket number one. Bucket number two is going to be attraction to you and your brand. So they're attracted to you based on your creative marketing, if like you do goofy shit like I do, or first responder, veteran. If your just brand is so magnetic that they're like, hey, I really want to work with Carlos because, I love Austin and Carlos does all these cool videos on Instagram. So like, I'm just gonna go to Carlos because I feel connection to him. And the third is the deal, is the home. The home is what's going to attract you. So number one is going to be the process. Number two is going to be you or the attraction to your brand. And three is going to be the home. So you post a really cool home in the neighborhood that they're looking. If you buy leads and those leads are, some like show me this home at 5 o'clock tomorrow, whether it's Zillow or Ylopo or Lofty or whatever. So this is to me, it was a big takeaway on the call with Jason. And you really have to know which one they were attracted to. Which one, because if it's the house, they don't give a shit about you. Like zero. Oh, my kid's baseball game. Nope, don't care. Oh, my cousin's uncle's sick. I got to take him to the, don't care. Don't care. They're in the third bucket. They're in the house bucket. They just want to see the house. And they want you to rent the offer that they want you to I want to offer 20,000 less, let them pay all the closing costs. I'll see you tomorrow. Like you need to realize that. Don't influence your process when it's that kind of deal. And then obviously if it's you, then you need to know like, okay, they're attracted to me, so I need to nurture this. And then obviously if it's the process, you really need to be clear about that process. Like you need to very clearly give them this is what's going to happen from A to Z. Selling your home, A to Z. You buying a home, this is the process exactly A to Z. I thought that was very helpful.
I thought that was helpful.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What do we got in the comments section, the gallery here? I've got a lot more questions for you, but I'm just curious. 30 minutes in, what are some people's ahas? What are you concerned about? Go ahead and just unmute your fellow self. Go ahead, Becky.
I have questions that might not be different. So I'm curious, like you're talking about, like I'm solo agent, but like when you talk about like, hey, this is very common. How many deals do you need to do? This is what you need to do, and then meeting with people. So, and then this whole concept of training, and I get all that. My question is like, how do you essentially break down like and it may be, hey, my business comes from these three sources. And this is what I'm going to teach you. And these are the things that work. For example, you have people, I mean, if you listen to Sharon, for example, I mean, he's like, you need to be sending weekly emails like multiple times a week. You need to be doing social media. You need to be doing all of the things. And then, you throw in, some long form like Raj Sahu home tours. And so if you sit there and you say like, okay, I'm doing all of these things and I'm not getting the business, like, like I kind of feel like in some ways that's my messy middle. It's like I'm
Yeah.
doing all the things and I've actually been in the process of being like, no, I'm cutting all of these things because like I need to figure out like what is it that I don't care what the trends are. I don't care about any of that, but it's like, what is the thing that's going to consistently work for me and not because somebody else is doing it? It's like, so I guess my question is really like, how do you sort of like narrow that focus and define that with your team? Or how did you do that for yourself? Because I feel like that's part of sometimes like where people kind of are just like, well, what the hell? It's not working. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
I'll give my 2 quick cents and I'll let you go. I'll let you go way longer than me. My 2 cents here is whatever you're doing, if it's not creating conversations, then it's really not doing anything. And this is a conversation Brian's on here. I had a conversation with him yesterday. Maybe it was him or somebody else, but I said, hey, for every 50 conversations, you should have one closed business. So I could do 1,000 videos on YouTube, long form videos, but if I don't get any calls and generate any conversations from it, and I'm not doing the things in the video that generate phone calls, then I need to fix that or start getting on the phones and just circle dialing, calling people, finding ways. So I would say the reality is if whatever you're doing is not generating conversations, you need to change that.
So aside from auditing yourself, like if you audit your time and say,
Get a
okay,
little bit
what,
closer, can't hear you.
oh, here, let me
There.
make this louder.
Yeah.
So aside with auditing your time, what I would do is figure out what, basically what Jeremy said is, where is your closings coming from? Start from, okay, the last 5 deals that I closed, how did I get them? If they're all past client referrals, then do more for your clients. And then until that gets exhausted and you're like, okay, I physically can't do any more client events, I can't call anybody else, now start something else. Another concept that I was talking about in a real military meetup is the 80-20 rule with your time. So 80% of your time in your business is spent on the things that you're already doing that work, right? If your past clients work, if social media works, if YouTube works, do that 80% of your time. But then 20%, start experimenting. Have 20% of new things that you're trying. Like, you know what? Like, man, I didn't do that 20% thing this week. Let me try this. Because that 20% is going to give you some new metrics to start looking at. It's kind of like I did this Thumbtack account. Thumbtack is like a app where you can like do services, and I got a $2 million listing appointment. I was like, what the hell? And there was like 2 reviews on there, and both of them were my agents reviewing me. I was like, what the hell? So I'm not saying it's going to work every time, but if you just say like, hey, I'm doing the same things and nothing's working, number 1, audit your time. And then 2, start auditing where the businesses came from, because that's what I would do more of if you know that's working.
Nice. I want to toss this over to Shauna. Shauna, you've got a million and a half listings. What's your response to, I'm doing a lot of things, but it's not driving the business I want?
Well, yes, I do have a lot of listings, and I'm actually starting a new 150 appointment challenge between now and the end of the year. But I'm trying to be more selective about the business I'm taking on, because exactly what you were saying is we may be taking listings that maybe we shouldn't be taking listings with unrealistic sellers. So like I'm asking better questions. So I feel like, yes, I do have a lot of listings, but I actually went through. So in 2024, just so you guys know, I fired and terminated 42 listings in 2024. That's more than most people do an entire year. And so my goal was to do less of that this year. So I'm actually prospecting now for expires and things like that, but I'm making some of the same mistakes, but it's because I'm getting into I'll be honest with you, I let the outside noise of like what other people's expectations are for my business to drive the things that I want or the things that I do in my business. And they're not necessarily things I want to do. So I'm starting to go back. I went back to like what Trey said was, where is my business coming from? Where am I really knocking out of the park? It's agent to agent referrals. 75% of my business is agent to agent referrals, past clients, social media, and networking. Those are like my 3 or 4 top lead sources. Like I need to do more of that and let the other stuff go and the expectations of others not hold me to things that I don't want to be doing in my business. Cause it's costing me a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of anxiety.
Do you find with a lot of the agent to agent referrals, you're getting business that you probably wouldn't have taken if it hadn't been a referral, and you need to
100%.
say no to some of those?
Yeah. So specific situation is Trey I think a bunch of people had commented in the San Antonio group looking for a listing agent here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I'm very much a yes person. My personality is I want to say yes. I want people to like me, all that stuff. And so, so fast forward, the agent reached out to me and said, hey, so many people tagged you. So I called you. You're the person I want to work with. It was a $2 million listing. And to give you some perspective, our average price point's like $430,000. So it was a $2 million listing, but it was an hour and 20 minutes from me. And I actually went through the whole process of like meeting with the seller, getting the staging done with my stager and everything, only to like the day before we're supposed to get it photographed. I told my husband, I said, because I'm starting to listen more to my intuition. And I said, hey, every fiber of my being is telling me I don't need to take this listing. And so I actually got with the agent who referred it, got him with a different agent, referred it to another agent who now has it listed. But yeah, I do get a lot of opportunities in areas. So I'm starting to ask more questions because I was on a call on one of your calls, Jeremy, with Miguel, what's her name? Her and her
Oh,
husband.
Shannon Manjan.
Yes, sorry, Shannon. And she was saying that she asked more questions now instead of going on listing appointments. I'm awful with names. I just know people's faces. And she just said that she started asking more questions about things. And so now she's not taking any more listings that are more than 30 minutes from her radius. And I'm starting to do the same thing, which is very hard for me because I don't want to say no to an agent to agent referral.
Yeah.
But I have to because I can't work those people the way they deserve to be worked when they're an hour and a half away from me. And then here's the thing is if you get business there, you get a listing, you're bound to get more business there because you're gonna get sign calls, you open houses. Like
Yep.
I don't want any more business an hour and a half away from me. So I'm learning to say no. But yes, that does happen all the time.
So speaking of saying no, another way to get out of the messy middle to stay on track on the topic that Jeremy told me to do is to audit your expenses. Like how many of us are subscription freaks that are like, oh, 11 Labs, Hey Gen, ChatGPT, the new Grok, and like, oh, I need this one, I need this one, I need Fellow, I need all these CRMs, and then all of a sudden we're like, well, crap, I don't have time to use any of these, but I have them. I feel like if I have them, I'll use them someday. And then I'm like, oh, I'll save money by paying for the year. And so expenses is really not something that honestly I really cared about. I was just like, whatever, money is not really a driving force for me. It's, it's obviously nice, but it's really not something I'm like, oh, I need more money. But now it's not about money. It's just about profitability. If I'm going to spend time on something, like it has to be profitable. If not, then it's just not for me. Like Shauna was saying, whether it's clients, whether it's agents, whether it's conversations, and it's like auditing your time really makes you realize where you can focus your next moves.
I love that you just said that because the reason why I wanted to talk about the messy middle is literally Eileen and I did that before we left for our vacation, and we have some major changes coming to our business here very soon. So, and it took literally going through all the numbers, what the expenses were, what we were doing, and realizing like, okay, is doing this activity worth our time or not? And
You're
so
talking
that's
about
actually
making a
why
left
I
or a
wanted
right?
to do this. What?
Are you making a left or a right?
Oh, I can never go left. I don't know. Maybe going right. I don't know.
Left is more lean and mean, and right is big team.
Uh, You'll have to stay tuned.
Okay. I thought I'd get it out of you, Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So it's incredible. Like once I audited everything, I was like, wow, like doing better now.
Well, it's crazy because even like I'll say this is sales wise by far our best year in 3 years sales wise. We are absolutely crushing it. People are calling, businesses coming in. And in the middle of all of that, I sat down, looked at the numbers and go, oh, I need a veer. Even though this is like on paper, and this is why I want to talk about the messy middle is because we can all look at everybody else's business and go, that person's absolutely crushing it. They must be loving life. They're doing amazing things. And then you look behind the sheet and you're like, oh, well, yeah, they have all these problems. It's not going as smoothly as it looks on paper. And I think it took me going through looking at the actual bottom line numbers to go, okay, I know what I need to cut out of the business. So maybe I'll go right down the middle. You'll never know.
Yeah, I was I would go to these Tom Ferry events or, real events, and you talk to people, and I always hear agents like seasoned agents like, oh, do you have a team? Are you like a broker? Like, do you have agents with you? And they're like, oh, I don't babysit. You ever hear that?
Yeah.
At first I was like, okay. But I think there's a lot to that statement. It's like babysitting is like, well, could the caretaker have been a little better versus the baby? And like, why do people think that? And it's the messy middle. It's like, well, they did all these things for Shauna's waving her hand. You got some, Shauna? No?
Yeah,
Or you're just saying hi? You're just excited to be here? Cool.
I was waving to my daughter.
Okay.
She's got a fly in the room.
But
it's a Texas hello.
Yeah. Oh, these gnats, dude, they're crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I realized that it's the messy middle that they were in. They just didn't navigate. And now with AI and metrics and the accountability that you have that's essentially automated, like there's no reason to be in the messy middle anymore.
Mhm.
A lot of people get in the middle just because they're like, well, I'm being successful. Like I want to serve. Like their intention is good, but then they don't have systems to support their intention. Yeah.
Yeah, Shauna's comment is 100% spot on. And I could say, looking at my business and what I
Yeah.
realized the problem was, is that I could point the finger at a lot of team members. I could point the finger at my wife. I could point the finger at everybody. But 100%, it was whatever was wrong with our business was because I wasn't paying attention to it.
Yep.
I mean, that's 100%. So
Dude, yeah.
yeah,
Every team
her
member I
comment,
like,
if you didn't read it, was every time I built a team, and it didn't succeed, it was 100% my fault as a leader. I wasn't leading the right way. Yeah.
I 100% agree. Every team, even every team member that I let go, I always say the same thing. It's like, listen, it's me. It is not you. It's like I need to set up these systems the right way. I didn't, I wasn't a good team lead, and I'm working on it. That's what I've been saying for like 5 years.
Well, sometimes it is the team leader. Sometimes it was your fault for bringing them on, but
Yeah.
sometimes it is the team, yeah. You
I
can't take all the blame all the time, Trey. I mean, I know that's a cop thing in you, but
It
you
is
can't take all the fault.
police brutality. So I
Yeah.
was talking to another broker owner. He had at one point 121 agents across 7 different markets. And he was like, that was even the messy middle for him because he's like, man, like I had literally wake up, I would be nursing phone calls and like hiring people, doing books, issuing 1099s, and it would just not stop. So then he's down to 37, and now he's starting to feel some relief. It's like sometimes it's just you look at your profitability,
You
figure out
have
what you're
to.
making, figure out what you're actually netting. And if it's not worth it, it's not worth it.
I was on a podcast actually a few weeks ago before I left for vacation with somebody who has a very large team. And off camera, we were talking about the team and the expenses. They're a Zillow Flex. And so, like, we were talking about the numbers, and I was like, he's like, I had to go from 50 agents to 100 agents to become profitable. And I'm like, but that takes way more time and way more expenses. And why not just run mean and lean? I think sometimes to Shauna's point earlier is nobody cares about our businesses except for us. But we think everybody cares about our businesses, right? Our perception of what people think of our business should not dictate what we do in our messy middle. And then sometimes it's okay to be hated, right? Like be hated because the people that love you will still love you, but be hated by the people you don't care about. Who cares about them, right? Focus on
Mhm.
what's the best for your business and the people around you
Oh yeah.
and your
Yeah.
real community. There, add that in there.
Lame.
Man.
What other questions we got?
Yeah,
Specific
Steph,
questions.
you look very stoic there. What do you got, girl?
No, this is good. I think my messy middle is just the systems. I just don't have, and I was just talking to an agent actually not too long ago before I jumped on this meeting, is that I've gotten to like where I do decent business, I'll probably do about 30, 35, 40 transactions this year. But I'm kind of just capped out, I feel like we're with what I can handle right now. And it's just like, who do I hire? Who's my first hires and how do I grow?
Ooh, Trey,
So
this is a good
yeah.
exercise right here. I'm glad I asked the
So
question.
where does your business come from? Mainly.
Social media and referrals and my SOI.
Okay. So with the 3 buckets I talked about before, they're attracted to you, your personality, right? So they're not attracted to your process necessarily. They're not attracted to the home because you're not really presenting like ads on homes or anything, right? It's just you. So if that's the bucket, then I would hire a marketing coordinator and leverage as much of the buying and selling process as you can, whether it's tasks, TC, personal assistant. But the only things that you should be doing is honestly going on buyer appointments, listing appointments, final walkthroughs and closings. Because once you get them to sign the buyer's rep, you say, listen, my showing partner, Jeremy Knight, is going to, show you as many homes as you like. And he's going to get you through the process. And then once you find a home you absolutely love, then I'm going to, look at the numbers, because I want to make sure like that's my specialty, is looking at numbers, making sure that all my market knowledge is to you and the home that you love. And then I'm going to negotiate the very best deal for you. Jeremy's going to help, but I'm going to be the main negotiator. And then I'm going to leverage all the things that I know to get you the best deal. Boom. You get that? It's the Eric Hatch nurse doctor role. That's what I would do as your next hire, because then you'll be able to set more appointments and get more listings and more buyers and leverage the time out of it. Now, if it was I do a bunch of ads, or if it's like, hey, I just do this like, home seminars or whatever, then the leverage would be different. But because it's you, that's what I would do.
It's I'll give you an example of what you just said. So I realized every morning I was getting up and I was having to go into social media and post my videos, right? Because they're really like, you can schedule them out, but then sometimes you can't put in polls or whatever. So I was spending every morning like 30 minutes a morning downloading videos, uploading them, putting them on the internet. And then what would happen? Anybody else just open up Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or YouTube to look at one specific thing and then realize you just spent an hour on that app, right? So what was getting in the way of my morning? Well, what was getting in the way of me being productive was I was scrolling on Instagram or TikTok trying to upload these videos, and it was wasting my time. So what did I do? I hired it out. You're in charge of posting it. Here's how you do it. Here's how I do it. Here's how it works. Now my morning is not filled with me having to even stress about it. My morning is filled by noon, like, oh, what are all these comments coming through? Oh shit, that video is popping off, right? So I don't even post my stuff anymore, because that was the messy middle that was causing me not to focus on what I needed to. I hired it out. So why I tell you that, Steph, is look at the business and find exactly what Trey said. What are the things that you can hire out for a very cheap amount that is going to make you focus on making more content, right? Getting in front of more buyers, having more conversations. What are those things that you can start to hire out, instead of a lot of people, and Carlos might be in this situation. Oh, I need more buyer's agents. Well, that takes more time away, and he's running into it where he's having to do what Trey said, which is babysit, right? Maybe not all of his agents, but a couple. And so they're taking up time that could be spent maybe making some more content, making more things, or having even the thought of having to stress about that agent and what they're doing is taking time away from focusing on something else. Was that
Not
constructive
to.
or good or bad?
No, that was really good. Was that a VA that you hired, or marketing coordinator, or
So I have both. I have a VA and a digital coordinator that's in office.
Mine's all in one, but she's not in office.
Can I
She's
ask
in
a
North
question?
Carolina next to Becky.
No, Tammy. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So on the social media posting, I've got it set up, but the Facebook is my personal account, and it's saying that it can't post there, so I'm having to manually do everything myself. Have you found, or do you have a workaround for that? So you're not getting up and having to do that anymore?
I love that you said that. So for those of you looking for a platform to post all at once, repurpose.io, repurpose.io. I know I'm spelling this wrong, but maybe I didn't. That is a good platform that a bunch of us use. There's others that, like if you're like, well, I don't have a Reddit, I don't have a X, I don't have LinkedIn, so I don't really need to post on those. There's other platforms that you can do it, but the cool thing about that is you can schedule it out. And then I talked to Pantana about this. I was like, well, don't the platforms like when you organically upload it directly to, and he's like, honestly, it's like an 80%, it's like maybe a 20% suppression. But he's like, but if the post is good, nobody cares. So he's like, just the amount of time that you'll save, it's totally worth it. So for personal Facebook, it doesn't have that option, which I've tried because I wanted to do the same thing you're talking about, Tammy. But I think it's the only way is just to post organically on your personal Facebook. Yeah, terrible. And then my digital coordinator answers my comments like 90% of the time.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Good question.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask if I can add on that. So I do have the personal, but then I also have the business page, and now there's another business page. But so what my assistant does, she uses like Meta, right, and posts on Facebook and Instagram to the page. And then if I once I start seeing the comments pop up, like Jeremy says, because I'm like I didn't upload the video myself, right? My assistant did. Then I see that, and if I like it or something, then I'll just reshare that into my personal one. That's kind of probably the algorithm doesn't work in my favor doing it that way, like sharing into my page. But at least my sphere now can see that when they're not necessarily following the page that we have. I don't know. That's just the way that I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think with our like page is uploading it to on my personal Facebook, and then it goes to my it automatically posts to Instagram at the same time. So I believe that's what she's doing, but I would try using repurpose IO. I think that's the thing that if you hired somebody else to actually do all that for you, yeah, they're on your personal Facebook or yeah, they're on your thing. You can give them admin access, I believe, through Meta. Um, like this whole conversation we just wasted time on talking about how to actually post, right? Hire somebody else to figure it out. That's the shortest answer
Yeah.
possible.
That's funny. Yep.
I'm not
Oh,
saying we
the messy
wasted
middle.
time. We enjoyed time talking about that, which, anyway.
But yeah, that dollar per hour is very powerful. If you're
Yeah.
making 400,000 a year, like you should be hiring 2 people at 50 grand a year, or 3 people, one at 40, one at $10,000 a year VA, and one at 50. And your life will be so much better.
And in this business, those we call those deductions, right, Trey?
Yep. My accountant did say you need more deductions. That's how I know that my leverage savings is doing well. Would Trey be able to provide the list of duties that his digital admin does? Yes, Shauna, of course. Come on, girl. I'll share everything with you. Okay, let me find that.
While he's doing that, any other good questions we got in here? We got like 5 minutes left, so what we got?
I'm just curious, and this
I'm
may not
married.
apply to everybody, but I'm just curious to hear a little bit more about Tres when he said he shifted to now they're employees. Now his agents in the team, now they're employees.
Ooh, good one.
But besides that, so I'm trying to audit I started working with, I've been working with a CPA and they do the bookkeeping and all that because I stopped doing that as well. But like now we're actually analyzing now that the team is growing and there's some transactions and I'm spending money for new signs, I'm spending money for them, new like shirts and things like that, right? So I'm spending money for them and the tools, the CRM and all that, but now we're actually auditing how much money I'm spending on my agents and how much are they actually producing. So we're in that messy middle right now to realize, okay, are these guys even paying back what I'm investing into them, right? So once I figure that out, I'll have a better understanding. But I'm just wondering, is this a basis for you to hire a new agent? Because I just met with an agent yesterday from Keller Williams, and he's thinking about Rio and he's thinking about joining the team. He's brand new, but I can see the drive. He's door knocking, he's cold calling, he's doing open houses. He doesn't have any production yet because he's only been 2 months, but he's doing a lot of the work that some of the other agents with more experience, 4 years experience, are not doing that. So should I look at him as, man, this is probably a good addition to the team because he's putting in the work? He just needs
Okay.
guidance, or I don't know. Like, I don't know.
You don't have to tell me how much you make in real estate, but do you make more than 400,000 a year in real estate?
Not quite.
300.
Yes.
Okay. So what's 1/4 of 300? I can't really do the math. Is it 75?
70,
So-
80,000 around there.
Okay, 75. So if you hire, okay, so I'm taking this playbook part out of Eric Hatch. He's also my coach. I have a lot of coaches. I'm not very smart. So Eric Hatch says hire your first agent at he says $38,000 a year with 5% bonuses. But I would say, Austin Living, maybe $42,000 a year with 5% of commission bonuses. Now you are guaranteed an agent W-2 that is going to be paid a salary, set salary, but they have to be in the office from 8:30 to 4:30, or if you don't have a physical office, just be by the computer in a coffee shop at home in their home office from 8:30 to 4:30. The first 3 hours, you're going to say, these 3 hours, you're going to prospect. These next 3 hours, you're going to shoot content. The last 2 hours, you're going to do training. And you're going to set them up to the way you say this to them. And again, this is from Eric, is you're going to get your PhD in real estate. Most realtors will spend years trying to figure this out. I'm literally going to tell you step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And then you're going to have your PhD in real estate. And then in order to do so, I'm going to start you at a starting salary. When you become a doctor, you don't get millions of dollars out of med school. When you become an attorney, same thing, or a cop or anything that is high paying job. So you're going to start here because I'm going to teach you everything. So then you start there. And honestly, that's what we did. And now you can, if they're doing well, you have a yearly evaluation. And what's cool about a W-2 is, let's look at the napkin math. And this, I know I have 2 minutes left. So the napkin math is, let's say you do 2 closings a month at $10,000 each, right? That's $20,000 GCI. If you're at an agent partner with a 50-50 split, that is $10,000 to the agent's pocket, which is great. But then out of your $10,000, what's coming out? Your expenses, your CRMs, your ads, your time, right? So it's really like $6,000 for those 2 closings, right? In your pocket. Now let's look at this salaried employee. Now you have a guaranteed minimum 40 hours a week. You get maybe 5% bonuses. I already did the math in my head many times. So it's around $4,600 a month. That person has now made a paycheck every 2 weeks. They have 2 closings with a 5% commission bonus. So now they're making $4,800 or $4,600 a month with that math. And they're happy, right? They're employed. They're guaranteed a paycheck. And your take home is $15,000. So even with that $4,000 variable of cost, you're still making $10,000 versus 6. Just with 2 closings. Imagine if they had 4.
That makes a lot of sense. Somebody else in that event in San Antonio, Trey, somebody else, the one that builds the teams, I think he's your coach, or you're getting a coach by him or something. I think he mentioned something like that, to have the team as W-2s. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I got that from Eric Hatch.
Okay. That's amazing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the that's the unfortunate part that a lot of people don't realize running a team is if you're running on a 50-50, like, yeah, it's 6, that agent makes way more than what you make on that deal at the end of the day. And then then you're like, well, wait, is this even worth it? Now I need to change the splits, but it's already too late. Now go to an agent and tell them you want to change to a 60-40. Right? They're gonna be like, screw you, I'm going over to Tammy's team, I'm leaving. And they're like, well, look, I'm not profitable, I'm losing money on this endeavor. So yeah, I like that idea, Trey. That's not the direction I'm going, but
That's cool. That's the direction I'm going.
Maybe I'm making a U-turn. You never know.
Turn it. Sounds good. And also depends on last thing, depends on your lead source, right? If you're a Zillow, YLOPO, where they're just interested in the house and you're the gatekeeper to that, then 50-50 splits make sense all day. But if it's your brand that's bringing in the business, that's where the 50-50 don't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, why did the salary matter or influence on that decision? Like you ask how much I make, why does that play a role here? If I make less or if I make more? Oh, because I can afford it. The salary. Okay.
Yeah, you can afford the salary. And then so much of your time is going to be alleviated because you're guaranteed that person is going to be in the office. And if they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, we got a jam. It's after 11. I answered Steph's question, which was how I found a person for managing my socials. Wise Hire. I'd say that's For a very long answer, that's the short answer, is why is higher. I thank everybody. The replay should be out tomorrow. If you have any other questions, always reach out to Trey. He is always really good for responding. We got, if you're in Austin, we got an event on the 6th at UFCU, so definitely come to that. Not next week, but the following week, I have Terry Kelly coming on. She's like getting a ton of business from click ads, Google PPCs and all that stuff. So while Trey talked about that, we're actually going to dive into that on, I think the 6th as well. Maybe it's the same date. I don't know, but 7th, on August 7th. So we will see you next time. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.